Hi everyone, I'm just going to set up my tablet so that I can see you like I do every time. It'll just take me a minute. Here we go. Okay, welcome today to the Red Roof Cabin that we've started on Monday with the sketch right on our canvas, which is the first time I've ever done that, but it saves us time for today. So today I'll do a little recap and we're gonna start painting. So I'm gonna flip you over and we're gonna start painting. Yoo-hoo! Okay, I'm gonna set this up properly. And I will also zoom you in. I'll go close my light. And I will zoom you in, and I'll place this so that you can see it properly. Okay. So what we did on Monday, I will put my mic on. I laugh at myself sometimes. Okay, so what we did on Monday is we worked with a ruler, just so that you could learn about the angles of how to do a house, a building. I'm just gonna go put this over there, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. Remember that I don't see you, so hi everyone. Sometimes I see comments on my tablet, sometimes I don't. So I can try answer your questions or whatever after I'm done. The last time, actually, when I went back on my video, I couldn't even see the comments. So I'll try to keep an eye on the tablet and see if I see them. Okay, so what we did on Monday, we did the sketch. I showed you the different angles. Then we had time, so I went in and we did the background, which is black and white, grayish, and a tad of purple into the sky. I thought it added a little something, you know, just that, not to have just gray and white. And we did our background trees, the forward little bushes here and that. So now we're ready to paint. So for me to paint this way, and also I want to show you, I did the roof here because the house is not very long. It finishes at the end of the third window. So to do that roof, if ever like there's no trees to hide it, you would follow the edge of the front part of the roof, and it's the same angle for the back. Then this here is kind of a tiny, tiny little angle. This one would kind of go a tiny little bit inside, because the house is, the photo is corner photo, and it gives you the illusion of the house is getting smaller. So the windows we don't worry about, we're painting over them. So today I'm starting with the roof, and if I paint like that, my hand is gonna be, you won't see anything. So I'm turning my canvas, which you can also do when you follow me, and I'm gonna zoom in. Alors, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more so that you can see the roof, just the roof. And I'm gonna zoom in as much as I can without it being all weird. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna take my black and white. Yeah, I think that's pretty well zoomed in. White, my black, because we're gonna do the red just at the end, just before we do the trees. Okay, so now I'm working on an 8x10 from now on, and I mean, it's not very big, but here I can use, this is I think it's maybe 1/2 inch Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch flat brush. This is what I'm going to use to do the roof. And actually, you know what, guys? I'm going to put it in an angle. So when you follow me, do the same thing as me. Do it in an angle, so that way it won't be, you won't be mixed up of what I'm doing. So the house, the top is very light. It's almost light all the way down, actually. But I'm going to degrade it a little bit. So I'm going to start very light gray, and I'm going to come down and put a tad of, make it a tad grayer, just a tad. So I'm starting, I'm going to wet my brush and a bit of water, take out a bit of the water. Remember, because we're using this kind of paint, which is being called a craft paint, which is already watery. It doesn't look watery here because that's the big bottles of the black and the white, but it's transparent colors still. So we don't want too much water. We want it to glide, and this is way too much black. You wanted a very light gray, and I mix as I go, guys. We don't have to be so perfect. It's going to be perfect when we do the house. Okay. The size of the house. And this I'm going to reuse anyways. So what I'm going to do now, there's a lot of paint here. I'm going to take some of the paint off here. Okay, so I'm going to take white. So I've mixed some gray, and I'm taking some white. And I'm going to start at the roof line, okay? And I can still see my line, even though I've painted over. And this, we're going to put back some leaves on top. There's a little bit of shadow. We're going to do that after. I just want to make sure I'm not painting so that you don't see. And here, it's no longer important that you're so straight, because it's an old building, right? So it doesn't matter here. Okay. There's so much paint on my brush. So I'm going to come in again and I'm going to reload. Maybe not as much white, because I want to start going into a little bit grayer. Okay, so I'm starting at my corner of au pignon, and I'm coming in. And I'm trying to stay within my line. And here, it doesn't matter if I go over that line, because there's trees hiding it, so I don't have to be perfect. Okay, so I'm taking just some white, and I'm coming back in here. Everything's wet, right? So it's fun. We can adjust. And I think because I went really a darker gray. Okay. I'm starting at the line. I'm coming down. And here I'm going to try to follow my line, because the fascia board here is a bit darker. So I'm going to just come into the dark that I had already mixed here. And it's fun that this here, the middle here, is kind of darker. Do you see it kind of makes a shadow? So I'm going to be careful not to lose that. I might just lose it right here by doing this. But it's kind of nice. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a roof. The leaves, they make kind of the shadows and that. So it's just going to create a different, shadows when we put the red. It'll be already done for us. I'm going to flip it so that you can see what it looks like, and I'm going to turn over again. You see what that looks like? It's kind of cool because it already seems like there's shadows. So now, and I'm working also from left to right, because I'm going to have my hand right in there and I'm going to dirty it all. So I don't want that. I'm going to go do this little board. So I'm going to change my brush. I'll put this one in the water because I don't think I'm using it again. So I'm taking a little 1/8 or a little number 2 shader, which is about 1/4 inch. Again, I'm going to go into the water, take a little bit off, and again, I'm going to go, and this board, if you can see, there's spots that are dark, there's spots that are light, so we're going to go recreate that. So we're going to start I'm always low with my white, and a tad of black, and I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to blend it. I'll blend it on my canvas instead. And this is okay if it's not perfectly straight. So now I'm just going to come into my white, and I'm going to blend this. I'm going to lighten this up a bit. More white, because it had a lot of black, so it doesn't need. So I want to create, and I'm going to pick up a tad of black, just to create some spots that are darker. Then I'm going back into my white. So I'm playing with the values, and I can stop here. I can go over the line, it's okay. But you want to hide your black line from your sketch. Okay? And then we can go, now because it's so wet, it's kind of hard to go add some more dark because it just wants to blend all together. I had it whiter here. What I actually can do is take my white and just go correct it here if that happens to you. I was going to make it bigger, but I think it's probably better if I do this. And this has already started to dry. Okay. This is how you can do an adjustment if your board is, your fascia board, it starts getting too big. That's how you can fix it. And I'm going to come right under here, right under the roof. There's kind of a little shadow because the fascia board is under the roof. So we're just going to come and put a little bit of shadows here. Make it look more realistic. And it doesn't have to be even all the way. You just want it. And here I can bring it a little bit down. So it's going to give me those spots of dark that I wanted. And not too much. If you've put too much, then take a bit of white and adjust it. And remember, we're putting our red over that. There we go. So what does that look like? This is what that looks like. So it gives us a little shadow under. So now we're going to come and we're going to do our wall. And remember our wall, we're going over the windows. We do not have to see the windows right away. So I'm going to zoom in so that you can see this. So I'm going to put that brush in the water. Just take a bit of the paint off. I don't like to have my brushes really sitting in the water that long, but I mean, we're painting live, so. Okay, so now I'm moving down to a number 8, which is about a 3/8 brush. I'm going to put this a little bit straighter. A 3/8 brush to do our planks. Because if I could go with the 1/2 inch. It's just going to make less planks, okay? And this house has a lot of planks. Look. It has a lot. We're not doing the white. The white is called, I think if I have it right, the shanking. We're not going to do that. Like I'm not going to do a board shanking. We're going to try to imitate that through, just like we did the roof, okay? So water in your brush. Take some of it off. And let's go. And again, I'm going to do the same thing as the roof, but that side is a little bit darker. So I'm going to keep it a little bit darker. So my white, there's the gray there. I'm going to pick up some black and I'm going to start under the fascia. And I don't want it, I was going to say, I don't want it the same color as the fascia because we're going to lose ourselves. So I'm going to add a little bit more white. It is darker there, but I can go put it after. And I'm going to try to follow the wall, that wall there, okay? And as I come, I'm going to try to stay as straight as I can because I want to show that there's a roof, there's a fascia board, there's a wall. The wall is under the fascia board. That's what you want to create. So I'm just going back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come after and I'm going to put a highlight on the fascia board right at the bottom there so that we can see the difference between the fascia board and the wall. And here it doesn't matter. I can go over, there's trees hiding that. So right away I'm going to come and put a little highlight without really kind of showing, but it's showing, and just walk it a little bit in like that, just so that we can differentiate between the two. And I'm going to reload again. As soon as the white doesn't show anymore on your brush, reload. I didn't put very much. It could be like a light gray, as long as it's lighter than the board under. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of, move it over so it does. So I don't want a straight line. That's the idea. Don't do a straight line. So I'm gonna flip it. Sorry, there might be a lot of flipping. I hope that doesn't bother you. But look. Now the fascia, the board that is there looks under the fascia, okay? I'm going to move you back over here. I love this so much. Okay, so now we're going to go back into our white, our black, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put white on a corner, black on the other. And I'm going to go play with that. I'm going to move over down one. And it's okay what you want to see. I'm going to put black at the opposite corner. So if I turn my brush towards you, I've put black on the right and white on the left. When my brush is towards you, okay? If I put it towards my canvas, it's the opposite, right? Because I flipped my brush over. Oh, sorry, you didn't see this. Okay? As I was saying, so when you're looking at the brush, the black is on the right corner, the white is on the left corner because the brush is facing you, okay? If I turn it over, the black is now on the left, the white is on the right. So I can come here and I want to keep my line. I don't want to lose that line. And I'm going to try, see, I just lost my beautiful little highlight there. I'll go put it back after. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm not putting it towards you. I'm putting it towards the canvas, black in one corner, white on the right corner. So black on the left, white on the right. And I'm not gonna, stay there too long. I'm gonna do this fast. So black on the left, white on the right. I'll put more white. And I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna come. when it does these little streaks, there's not enough water in your brush. So go dip you dip like about maybe 1/8 into the, you dip about 1/8 into the water to get some water, and you don't take it off on your rag. You keep it there. So black on the left, white on the right, and I'm going to try to pick up more white. This is kind of fast. It's just that when we want to do more details and say, I don't want to lose all the black. I might. It's okay if you do, because then we can come back and add, right? And as I'm coming, I'm following, see, I followed my roof down, and as I come lower, I'm going to start to get straighter. So straighter, straight. Okay, you don't want to see, like here you see it, so it would be more like this here. And I'm starting to come slowly, and I'm gonna press less hard on my brush. You can still see strié. Okay, so black on the left, white on the right. I hope I don't mix that up for you. Okay, so I'm getting straighter and straighter. See, I'm missing not enough water. I'm dipping into my water, picking up the white, and I'm gonna try to keep this straight, and I can go over, no problem. See how much smoother my brush is going because I have a little bit of water in it. Okay, so I went over my line. That's okay. Now I'm going to flip this, and I'm going to see if I have my angles properly. So when I flip it, look at the house. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I think when I zoom in a bit too much, like that. Okay, so see, you see the planks, they're going like that. That is perfect. So I think from now on, I'm going to be working this way just so that you see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go correct my fascia board that I'm going to take off a little bit of the paint because there was a lot on my brush. So I'm just going to come in with the white again. This will happen, guys, because it's very hard to just do a straight line. And I'm going to come back and put my highlight back there, and I'm going to kind of walk it a little bit. And I'm just keep going. See? I'm going to take a little bit more white. And the only reason we've used a ruler was just to show you. Now that you know how to do a house, you don't need a ruler. Okay, so now we're gonna go put a little bit of strié. Strié is like streaks, so they call that strié. So, but I'm not gonna go too light. So I'm gonna, go into my black, pick up some of this gray area. I'm going to try to do this. You know what? I won't be able to. I'm going to have to turn around because I won't be able to do it. And you know what? If you shake and it's a little bit wobbly, it's okay. So, because that's what's going to happen to me right now. So, what you can do is kind of do like a dry brush. We're going to try that. So, we're going to take a little bit of our paint off. And remember, it's still wet, so it might, and see, I'm just going here and there, because that side of the house is not in the sun, so it's really darker. Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's dry. It's wet. So, and we're going to do this just here and there. Not everywhere. It's just to give our wood some dimension. Actually, I think, you guys, look at that. Okay, that's what you want. just here and there, just to show that it's old wood, okay? And you might say, oh my God, I've put too much. Wow, that's easy to fix. Take some black, because it has a lot of black on that side. Say I've put too much here. So look at that. And look, I'm on the chisel side. I'm not flat. I'm doing this. It's like I'm creating some planks. Okay? And it doesn't have to be everywhere. Just, you know, here and there, just little touches, just to see that there's a plank there. Okay? And they can be crooked because it's an old house. It's old wood that they've cut down by hand. In those days, they used to cut the trees with a box, and then they would take a tool and take all the bark off. It's like a little hook, and they would take the bark off, and everything was done by hand. Like the way, look at the corner, how it was done. It's the work they've put in that. It's amazing. And I want to thank Joanne Bosket again for letting me, giving me permission to use her photo. This little house is in Manitoulin Island in one of their museums. They have like outside museums, like pioneer museums. And this is where this house is situated. So it's pretty cool. So now what I want to do is do the inside here, and then I will do the boards, because it's very hard with a brush to go up there. So we're going to take our little quarter flat brush, because these planks here are smaller, and we're going to follow the angle of the wall here. It's not really straight. It's kind of a little angle. So we're gonna try to imitate that. So we're gonna go into our white. Oh my God, that wall looks amazing. If I do say so myself. Okay, so this is dry. That's why I wanted to do the background Monday, because I can put my hand on it. So I'm gonna start over here, and I might go over my line of the roof, but we're just going to put it back on. See, it's starting to give me them little jerks. I don't have enough paint, water. So all I'm doing is going into my black, my white together, and I'm just going to come and make sure that you at least go to your line, okay? Because if you don't, then you're going to have spots here that haven't been painted. You can do this too if you're more comfortable that way. And here we go over our window. And again, a little bit in the water, a little bit of white. It's pretty dark, but we can come and add. And this is all jerky, but that's okay, because we can come and after and do this. You know, it's been covered, it's there. I have water here from the brush from showing you. I'm going to add a little bit of water into my paint, and I'm going to come and cover that. I'm trying to do one strokes, because one strokes is faster than having to do, you know, multiple coats. So that's why my paint is thick. So I'm going into the black, the white, and also there's going to be a shadow that we're going to do after. Because under the fascia board on this side, she took the picture that way. So we see the shadow here. We don't see it on the left side. It's also like looking at the soffit. That's what we're seeing. And I'm coming in here. We're going to hide some of that also. Okay, so now we're gonna go and give it some shadows and some cracks in there. And so I'm just gonna take black because I have a lot of gray. And I'm just gently doing that. So I'm gonna try to make it, you know, maybe straighter. Coming down here. And later we can come and add a highlight because this is way too wet to do that. Like we did on the side wall. It got better once it had kind of started to dry. Okay. So I'm going to move over here. Actually, yeah, because I know I'm going to have, I'm going to try. So we're going to go into the white. We're going to do the fascia board on the left. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Like I say, hi everyone that just came in. I don't see you because my camera's facing downwards on my table. So I'm trying to follow the width that I had. So I'm trying not to press too hard because that board is not very wide when you work on an 8x10. Okay, and it's lighter at the bottom. Okay, it's lighter at the bottom. So I'm going to come and try to correct that. I'm going to take a little bit of the black. And I'm going to come and try to correct it. See, because everything is black. Then I'm just going to move my paintbrush down to imitate this again. You know, our planks. So now you see why the boards were done before the fascia board. So your fascia board should be kind of even on the front, on the side, and on this side also. This is kind of see-through, okay? I want to do the shadow here. And the shadow, so the shadow will be pretty much black because the shadow starts right over here. And we're following that line of the roof here, okay? And it's the same width all the way down. And we kind of see through because they used wood to do the fascia here. And as you see, because I have white and black, it's already making my planks. And I see that I'm shrinking as I go because I can't see my line of my roof. And the fascia keeps going off the roof here because our roof is a little bit longer here. Okay, so that's all. And look at it. I don't know if you can see it properly. See, it has all these little brush strokes. I won't even have to touch it again because it has all these little brush strokes. So now I'm going to come and do that fascia board. So everything is, you know, from under the roof, under the soffit is under the fascia board, the part of the roof. So you have to work in sequence. So now I'm going to actually kind of take some of my black out. I'm going to go onto my rag and I'm going to go into white, just a tad, you know, from the dirty brush that I have, because here, look how light the right fascia board is, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And it has a tiny little highlight on the top because of the paper of the roof, okay? So I'm going to come in and I'm going to start in an angle here because, whoops, start in the wrong angle. It's here because I lost my line. It's kind of weird. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay. And my board is not wide enough. Do you see? Well, actually, you know what? It looks kind of smaller, so I'm okay. It looks kind of smaller the way the angle is. So I wanna hide that. I wanna hide where my little strokes of the soffit is. Okay, so I'm going into my white. Reload as you need to reload. Our brushes are not all the same. And I'm almost done with the roof. And the roof here stays in an angle, okay? It has that angle here. Okay, so now, you see at the top here, there's kind of a little dark. I want to come and put that. So I dipped. I don't know even if you're going to see that. That corner here. I went like a tiny, tiny, tiny dot of black. And I'm barely touching. Merci, Anne. And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna try to show you just like a hair of black. And try to keep it at the top. And it's also gonna help us differentiate from our trees. See, so it kind of gives us the shadow of the paper. Look at how cool that is. So again, I'm going to come here and I'm going to try to show you just a tiny, 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 tiny little bit of the black. See, my brush, I don't know if you see that, but my brush was jerking a little bit. So a little bit of water. See, I put lots of water. So my fascia bird it's still okay. I will decide after. Well, I've decided right now. I'm going to put back a tiny little bit of white. And I'm going to go on the chisel. Chisel meaning I'm not flat like that. I'm on this side. So it's like creating my highlight on this side. Remember, it's an old building. So now we're ready to do this here. And as this is like the side of the house here is pretty dry. So, you know, if you find you don't have enough details, well, you can come and add. Like we can, so I'm going to change brush. And I'm going to go into our 3/8. Take some of the water off. Actually, I want to show you. Suppose I want to dye. So now there's like it's dark. So suppose I want to come and add just a tiny bit of light. I'm going to try to keep my brush flat. I find this a little bit wavy. And I can come and do that. You know, add it here and there. So it kind of creates old planks, okay? Once it's all dry, it's much better to see. And also, up here, we're going to put a little bit of lighter gray, not white. I'm not going to go into white. I'm just going to come and be careful when you touch your project like I I just did. Because sometimes you touch it and it's still wet. You're going to make a hole and it's very hard to go fix. So I'm just going to come and just, you know, here and there and just try to, or maybe on the corner. Use a corner of your brush. And here you don't want it too wet, okay? And don't lose your black stripes that you've done. So I'm trying to keep the black stripes on the right side and go highlight on the left side. Okay, so now I can go and I'm going to come and I'm going to do this. And if I want, I can come and put maybe some black, maybe a touch of white. We'll see. So this side here is much lighter than this side. So I'm going to come into my, I always start with white. I find white is, I don't know, it's less scary than black. And I'm just going to touch a tad of black and I'm going to put some water in my brush. Okay, now so we need to remember that our line, this starts right here, right under the roof, and it's going like that. I'm gonna try not to go into my soffit. Okay. And I'm going to touch, make sure you go to your corner of your house. Yeah, that I like that. That side is, so a tiny bit, I'm going to show you what a tiny bit in your water means. It's like that here. Like 1/8 of your brush in the water. I've done it twice. I'll take some of the water out. So I'm going to go back into my gray. I'm kind of maybe a tiny little in the corner because I really don't want it too dark. And you want to kind of match up your boards. Well, if you don't, when we're going to go put the markers, the corners, and that will define our boards. And then we can decide, oh, okay, I need to add some lines so that the boards match. It's just making it more realistic when you do that. Okay, so I'm just going to find where my line is. And my line, let's not forget, is in an angle. So I don't lose that perspective that it's in an angle. It's going to change the perspective of the house if I do that. So I'm going to take a little bit of the black again, but very, very little. I really do want to keep it. And I'm trying to make sure my corner is in the right spot. And I'm going right to that line. I'm going to try not to have my hand in that with paint of the right corner. So water in my brush because it's dragging. And yeah, when you put enough water, sometimes you don't want water in your brush, depending when we're trying to do a dry brush, then there's no water. But here, we want it to flow. So a tiny bit of the black. And again, so I'm going to try to keep it. I start at the left, I finish completely at the right. Okay, and then pretty much our last stroke. And right up to, okay, I'm going to adjust my line here, my corner. Okay. I'm going to let this dry a tad because it's going to be hard for us to do anything. We're going to come and do the footing. The footing is a light gray. A light gray with a little kind of, well, let's see. We have so much. Yeah, this light gray that we just did the side is going to be okay for this. I don't want to go hide my plank. So I'm going to turn you over. Whoa, everything just fell down. Okay. So kind of like that. So that I can keep the straight line in my corner. And here, there's barely any grass hiding this footing. So I'm going to stay in the light gray. You want it lighter than your planks, okay? Because then it's not going to show like a footing. It's going to show like a plank. So you want it, okay? And over here too. And here it doesn't matter if I go over. And this is not a board, it's like a cement footing. Because what they did, I think, is they moved the houses of where they were originally built and brought them to the pioneer village for people to see, to visit. So there's that. So now we want to do this one here. This one here, I'm going to go light again. Just going to move you a little bit. And the corner of the cement pad is a little bit off the corner of the house because we're going to go put these little pieces of wood that crisscross each other on the corner. So the corner kind of comes right there. So see, this is a little bit lighter than what the board is. Okay, I'm working. Okay. So I'm going to go in my paint again. And this one here, I'm going to put a corner. The corner that goes under the last board, I'm going to put a little shadow here. So, and I'm going to work the shadow a little bit in. Okay. So that's going to look like that board is on top. Okay. It's all little things that if you want your house to look realistic, that your boards look in the right spot and everything looks cohesive and the way a house should be built. It's okay here if you don't, if you go over, we're going to put the grass on top. Okay, so I'm going back to the side one here. Side one here has kind of a little shadow here. So what I'm going to do, then I'm going to blend it in. I didn't put any more paint. It's the paint from the front of the footing of the house. Well, not the front, but yeah, I'm going to call that the front, so it's going to be less. Okay. I'm just going to go kind of correct this a little bit. And I'm going to go, there's also a little shadow here. So I'm just going to kind of go, and I'm going to try, my head is going to try to follow the line of, I'm really off here. Okay, so the line of my footing is kind of here. So by doing that little black line, it's like a shadow under that last board. And it's not wide. It's like as tiny as you can do it. And same thing over here. As tiny as you can do it. So I'm running out of water. as tiny as you can do it. Okay? If it's too wide, just bring it in into your last board and blend it in. And I had started mine way too low, so I'm just going to come and take some of the white. I'm going to erase this here. It's really easy to kind of correct, okay? So now look at the dimension of our house. Look how that looks on the side and how this looks at the front. I'm gonna zoom out a tad so that you see the whole thing. See how that looks? And that's what you want it to look. We can add a little bit of black detail. So dirty brush didn't wipe off the white that was under. I like to work dirty brushes because I think it's much easier. So what actually we're going to do is we're going to take, I'm not going to do that first. We're going to take our quarter brush and I'm going to come and do a dark gray. Not completely black, but a dark gray. And we're going to come and put these little corners here. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see that. I find it shines more when I zoom in. So it's a dark area. And it comes down a bit. I just want to make sure I've got this right before I tell you to do it, before you do it. And this side, and then we skip. It's like a tic-tac-toe board. Okay, so I'm gonna make, and they're not very wide. We're kind of seeing it sideways. This is gonna tell us where we want our lines to be. And it's an old house, so remember that. No, we're not working with straight wood. We're not, and that's not that's not really the width of your board. It's been carved out so that it's gonna fit. It's gonna be on the house. Like this one's a little bit wide. I can correct that. Okay. A wet finger can fix anything. Okay, so, and I can just, make them more square. Okay, now on the other side, there's the same thing. The other corner, but I'm not going to do the other corner right away because I'm going to have my hand right in there. I'll do it once we do, if there's work we want to do here. So now, I'm going to take the black off with a dirty brush. I'm going to, just on my rag, keep the dirty brush. I'm going into my white. Now, where there's a space that we left, we're going to come and put the white there. And that will give us, and I'm not pressing very hard. No, I'm just creating an illusion. See, I only loaded once. And there's none there. So, and I find my black is a little bit black, so I'm going to tone it down. I would have preferred dark gray, so I'm just going to tone down my black. So if that happens to you, I just took what was left on my brush, turn it around, there's more white on that side, and at the same time it gives it actually a dimension. See how much better that looks? That looks like a corner of a log home. Okay, so now I want to come and maybe put a little bit of details in in my wood here. Then once I'm done, I'm satisfied, I'm going to come and do the corner, and then we're going to start the windows. Because we got to do all of that before we can move on to the trees. The building has to be completely done. So now I'm going to come, I think I'm going to come into a white and do a light gray. And I'm going to try to just do little areas. Okay, there's a board. Wherever there's the white, that's the shanking. And it does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect, okay? And because those boards are not perfect. Remember, they've been handmade, so they are not perfect. So all I'm doing is adding lines, and we're going to do that with the black also. I'm keeping my brush dirty because let's try to do kind of maybe a dark gray, not maybe completely black. I find the black is very in your face when it's too black. We'll see. So there's also kind of a little shadow under those planks here. Doesn't have to be all the way. Same thing. So now we're going to follow the black marks that we've done here, okay? And remember, you're following the line, the crooked line that we did there. And it doesn't have to be a line that is like a full line. It can be broken. It looks even better if your line is broken, like a dry brush kind of feeling, okay? So I'm coming back in, and I'm going to do that again. Well, let's see. See, I prefer taking some of the paint off. So if you load your brush, take some of your paint off. I find it gives you more of the realistic of those planks at those days. You know, they're old, like it's over 100 years old. So there is black, and you know, they're old. Okay, so I've done that. In some areas I find that I'm not too crazy about. So let's go put back some gray. It's very easy because it's a house. It's not your friend's house that you're trying to paint for them, or you know, it's an old house. And my gray's a little bit grayer, so it kind of gives me actually another dimension in my boards. And I'm going to go a tiny bit lighter. I'm going a tiny bit lighter. I want to take some of it off here. I'm going to try to keep it very dry. Okay. See, now I'm going to work fast, because I find if you work slow, that's when everything starts to be too even. So work fast. Okay, so I'm going to add some highlights more. So I'm getting a little bit braver now. So I'm going to come and I'm going to take some off here. Okay, so that I can have, I don't want to take all of it off. But I want to make sure that I don't lose the lightness of that side. And the more layers I put here and there, not all in the same spots, is going to give me the look of an old building. I'm pressing hard so that I can get all that paint out of my brush. And these little areas where it's not even, it looks like I've done a mistake. It's not. It actually makes it look even older. So I'm reloading again, taking some of it off. So I like that feeling of, okay, so I'm pressing and lifting. Okay, so I'm dry. I'm gonna come back in and so I'm gonna press, lift, press hard, lift, press hard, lift. And I want it much, much lighter, and I can do it the other way, press hard and lift. So that way my strokes are not going all the same way. And see? I'm going to reload. I think the trick is to reload, but not like a full brush, just less like that. Oh, actually, I kind of like it. I'm going to turn my brush around. There's paint on that side. Okay, so now I kind of lost, I think, so now we're going to come and do the little same thing here. So that one, we only see it one side, right? Because we don't see the other side of the house. So we're going to start, this one starts light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. So we're going to do our dark ones first. And I'm going to go a grayish this time right away. Okay. So I'm going to start here, dark, leave a space, dark, try to leave the same space, like the same width, dark, and okay, I thought I was at the bottom of the plank. Okay, so now I'm gonna, they're not even, and it's gonna look actually very good because like I say, it's an old house. So I'm coming into my white with a dirty brush, and I'm going to start at the top. And I'm just gently brushing it on. Okay, so look at that. That is so cool. So now we're doing our windows. So the windows, we're going to take, I think I'm going to take my 3/8 brush. I'm not going to do the window here first. I'm going to go on the side of the house. I'm going to move you over a bit. I'm going to go on the side of the house. And I'll make sure you're all aligned. Parfait. So I'm going to take, this is pretty dark, right? So I'm going to make sure that you guys see. I'm going to go into my white, just pure white, because it has, I don't know if it looks like it's shanking around the window. See all the white around the window? So we're going to do that. So now we got to be careful. We got to follow that roof line. And the windows are not very, they're maybe like this, and I'm going to tap, and I'm going to go up just like that, and I'm going to do the other one here. The other one was the same, was going down, and the third window was a bit higher, but still following the roof line. Okay, and now we're going to do the side. The windows kind of go low. And the window here will match that also. So now this window, we have to follow what we did at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to put more white. I'm going to bring this down. So it's tapping. I find tapping is better than trying to do a straight line like that. Mine would be crooked. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to come here. So I'm going to I'm not putting water in here. I'm just taking my brush and tapping. Okay. I'm going to try to make them the same width. Now I'm going to make my line. I think this one might, and I'm going to bring this one down. And this one, we see this here. That's all we see. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to do that one right away. Actually, we're going to go do, that one too. We're going to go do that one. So that one is almost at the corner. I'm going to get up so I can see. And it's the same height, okay? But the angle is different. The angle follows the angle of the roof right there, okay? And I'm coming down, and it's remember that one had a slight angle? We're going to do that slight angle also. And this one is a tad lower, but that's because when we're going to do the flower box. Phew, that word almost didn't come out. And we're trying to keep the windows the same width. Okay, is it high enough? I think I need to put it a little bit higher. Kind of hard to see because I'm working far from my chair. So I have to get up. I hope you don't see my face in the camera. Okay. So I did a little thing here at the corner. Just take my brush and just take it off. Okay? And actually it kind of, oh, I'm so sorry. You didn't see anything about that. So I've just moved you over and I'm going to show you. So what I did. So I followed the roof line here. When I get into my zone, I forget to move you. So I did the roof and I'm trying to follow the same. So just white, no water. And I'm gonna just make it a tad darker so that you can see. Okay. And it had a slight angle. And the bottom follows right the footing. So it kind of goes in also like that. Okay? Actually, it's the opposite. Is it? No, it's like that. Kind of looks weird. Okay, so what I'm going to do. Okay, yeah, that's better. So do you see how everything aligns? This really looks like the side of the house, my house is not flat, okay? If it would be flat, everything like this has dimension, okay? And that's what we want. For some reason, I find that, okay, I think what happened, I want to go correct there's something off here, and it's in my roof line here. So I'm just going to come and I'm going to turn over so that I can see it. Somewhere along the way, I lost my angle. I'm going to go reestablish my angle. Okay, let's see if that did it. Yes, okay. So if that happens to you, just go reestablish your angle. Makes a big difference on what your house is going to look like. So I just move that over so that you can see it properly. See, and now I'm just going to come in and put my planks up to that shadow. Bring them down, I should say. And I just went into a gray that might be a bit different than the plank, but that's okay because I'm just going to bring it up. And here too. So look at that. So now my window, I want to see if that is correct. By doing this, and doing this. Okay, by the inside I can correct it. Okay, I think that line also is not following the wall. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to do the top window here. The top window, I'm going to use some black because that one does not have the shanking around it. So now I'm going to flip you sideways because it's going to be easier for me, easier for you to follow that line here. And it's a tiny window. So the tiny window kind of starts here. So I'm going to follow my line here. Okay? And I'm not measuring. I'm just doing it, okay? Your window will be what it will be. It does not have to be perfect. So now I'm gonna zoom you in just so that you can see it, the window. And I'm coming down. And I'm coming down. That looks so weird. Oh my God. Did I follow the right angles? See, it's really confusing when when it's crooked like that. Maybe I'm not dark enough for me to really see. Or maybe I'm too close for you to see. And I'm not, maybe it's because I'm not centered properly. Okay, what I want to do is, I'm going to do that here. I'm going to blend that in because I was way too onto the left. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna take some weight and I want to make sure that I don't go over my line here with that adjustment. See, even it's very easy not to have the right angle when you're working with angles like that, but it's correctable. Like, it's paint, so it's not wood. If it'd be a real house, man, it would be like really hard to correct. But this here is easy. So what I'm going to do while that is drying, we're going to come a 1/4 inch brush. We're going to come and do the window les cadres de vitre. My brain is My brain is toasted early. The casing of the windows, or whatever you want to call, they're called. Okay, so I'm going to come in. Okay, I got to go darker so that you're going to see this. I'm going to go make the Akeda brain. Okay. I might lighten them up after, but for now, I don't know if it's windowsills that they're called. Okay. And then we're going to make them, we're going to make them red, because that's the outside. Okay, let's move you over. We're going to go do the other window, the frames of the window, I think they're called. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here I'm going to start with the third window. It barely shows because, so I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, and actually it is lighter. You know, they're not in great shape anymore. They've lost their colors, and so it's not as great. So I'm going to put them wider so that you can see, because you're not going to see anything, because we're doing on top of the siding of the house. Okay, so I'm not trying to hide my white. I'm doing it inside of the white, and I'm pressing gently to just try to do just a frame. And inside of the frames, actually what I want to do is I just want to do that white. There's a white frame here. No, not do the white frame. I'm gonna go do the inside, like the glass. Okay, so I'm gonna do the glass black, and this one here, like there's no curtain at the top, but there's a curtain at the bottom. So I'm gonna make this not curvy, as straight top as I can. Okay. Now this window here, I'm going to move you over. I'm going to move you over to the front window. That one has, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the inside black, and then I can adjust here if my frame was too big. I'm going to do the inside black. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to rinse my brush. Doesn't have to be super clean. I'm going to come into my white, and I'm going to go back to this side windows, and I'm going to do this window. It's like a curtain. It doesn't have to be really white because there's a lot of trees that's going to go there. This one here has a curtain at the bottom. This one here seems to have something, but not all over. And what we're going to do some shadows in those windows. So I'm going to take some pure white, and there's a frame inside. And I'm just going to tap, same thing as we did before. And also here, if you're not completely straight. This is where you can come and straighten things up again. See, this is like technical. Then we're not technical. After the windows, there's no more technical. Yoo-hoo! And that the first window we almost see completely, but it's not white everywhere. Like we don't see the white everywhere. And this here is something that you can come and make it whiter if you want. Okay, so now this one here, I lost the white at the top. Just going to tap it in a little bit. Same here, just a little bit. This one here, you barely see the white, so just a bit. Now I'm going to move you over to that window. That window has the frame around is white. I'm going to put it so that you can see. And also here is the perfect way to correct if something is off. And I see a tiny little bit here. Okay, so now I have to do the split in the window because the window opens. So again, have to follow my line so that it follows the window, or else it's gonna look weird. So right here I see the inside of that one and the bottom. Okay, there's a little curtain inside. And that also like that. That is so cool. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do the top window again. I'm gonna take my 3/8 brush. Actually, I think it's 3/8. So I'm gonna take, this time I'm gonna take, it's dark, so you guys have to see. Oh, there's a big drop of water there. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do it from here. So it's a little bit more at the top. It's coming down, and following the bottom here. Okay, that is perfect. See? Second time is perfect. Okay, we're gonna put some white. This one has a little frame too, so I'm gonna switch brush. I'm going back to my 1/4 inch brush. Okay, so I'm gonna go do the frame. The frame, I'm gonna put my brush like that, just like the others. You don't see that very much, I think. So I'm gonna make it a little bit more white so that you can see the frame. On this side, and that side. It's okay if the inside is crooked, because I can fix that. And now that window is completely black. I want to make it as black as I've done the other windows. But it doesn't have to be filled completely, like perfectly. And I'm going to go put that little white frame around the top here. Under the frame, there's a little, oops, too much water here. I didn't take enough water out. Okay. So coming in and on that side. Okay. Wow, I think the technical is almost done. I'm almost ready to to do the red. Okay, so what I want to do now is on my top planks, go put a little bit of highlights there. Just here and there. Just to give those a dimension, maybe less as I go down here. And my little fascia here, soft it. Just a tad also. Not a lot, just a tad. Maybe a little bit more black because mine is not as white at the bottom and it should be. Because actual fascia is like that. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go into a red. So I chose apple red. And I think we're going to start with the roof. Whoa, a whole bunch came out. So for the roof, we're going to take back our 1/2-inch brush. And I'm going to keep a little bit of water because we don't want to hide everything, the paint that we've done, the highlight that we've done and all that. So you don't want to put too thick of a coat, okay? And if we have to, we'll let it dry, we'll put a second coat. So I'm going to flip over so that I go into the right way. And I'm going to come in, I'm starting at the top. And I'm barely touching, like just enough that it puts paint on. And I'm following my line of the fascia boards. I'm going to try to stay straight. And I'm coming down. And I'm going to try to, I want to show you. And if there's line on it, it's okay. Because it's a roof. You see, actually, you do see the lines. Okay, we're just not going to go create lines like that. Okay, so now we're going to let that dry. I'm going to go back to my quarter little brush, and we're going to come and do the fascia boards. So I'm coming back into my red, and I'm going to start at the end here, and I'm tinting. Now I don't want to go on my boards of my house, so try to stay and go into the shadow of the fascia board, because that's where it's going to create our light and our shadow. And stay on your fascia board. Okay, and we're going to go put another coat. So I'm coming back to load, and I'm staying in an angle here. I don't want to lose that angle. And I'm coming in. I'm also touching my highlight, my shadow. And then when it's dry, you go and you do little touches here and there. So it's really cool. So I'm coming back into. Okay, this was in an angle. I'm starting it again in an angle. I'm going into my highlight, my shadow. To me, it looks pink right now because that's our first coat. And that's very, here, finish in an angle. Now we're going to go do the window frames. Again, I'm going to start at this end over here so I don't have my hand in red paints all over my house. And this one barely has any. So I'm not going to go everywhere. And I'm going to not try to cover everything. I'm just going to come and barely touch the windowsill, and I'm going to come and put another coat, and actually the top one here, the paint's almost all gone, so I'm just going to touch it here and there, And the bottom here, it's almost all there. And here. So I can come and touch. I can come and touch on, whoops, I'm not going to touch the roof until you guys see me. But I'm going to come and touch on this fascia board. Just in certain areas, my paint, I'm using less water in my paint. I didn't put any water in my brush. And you see what it does? And I'm going right to the shadow also. And I'm going to move over so that you can see. And I'm going to come and do some touches on the fascia board. The fascia board, the bottom is light because the sun is not there, but it's just that the bottom is lighter. I think that's what gives us the impression as the board is flat and not, lifted. And same thing here. Here it's like, make sure that this isn't a point. Here it's like here and there, that it's not everywhere. So I'm going to come now. And this frame also has, it's not everywhere. It's not red everywhere. Okay. See, by adding a second coat, less water, I'm almost like pure paint. I'm going to move you over so that you can come back and that we can see more of the other windows. Be careful, when you do too much of a big stroke, go on kind of flat. And on this side a bit, touch here and there. And it's giving us, here there's barely any paint. And here there's more. Okay. I'm also going to do my fascia board again. Not hiding, just touches. This one also. As I'm doing these layers, and I'm touching here and there, it's pretty cool. I'm going to redo the roof. So I went here and there on this side here. See, as I'm adding more coats, because you don't want to hide. You want to make sure that this is in the pointu, in the point. And I'm going to come down into this frame and also add some red. Okay, we're getting there. We are almost done with the red. And the red here, I'll bring it up just a tad on this. I just want to make it a tad bit red. It doesn't have to be perfect windows. We want to create an illusion. Now I'm going to come here again and just touch here and there too. Okay? And because I'm going here and there, and so it's giving me a chance of the paint under to dry. So I'm going back to my front window here. Oh, let's not forget the top window. I was forgetting it. Same thing here. Paint is almost all gone. So I'm doing just little strokes here and there to show that it's there. It's been aged. It's old. Bring some back here to that window here. Okay. Now I want to do a little coat on the roof. So I'm gonna flip this so that I can work in the right angle. I'm gonna take my red. I'm keeping it I've got a tiny bit of water in my brush, and I'm going to try to just spots. Just like a real roof when, when the sun's hitting it, it's if it's green, it's a different green. There's light green, dark green. That's what I want to create here. I'm going to flip it, see what it looks like. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to redo that again. And fast little strokes. Okay, I like my roof. You can do your roof, the way you like it. There's all I've given you are the tools to make a house. So this little window, has a white frame here. So I'm just gonna highlight it a little bit. And the inside a little bit. And here too. Sometimes these little details makes a big difference in your final product. Okay? And yeah, over here and under, inside, kind of inside, not the same, because we're seeing at the bottom, right? We're seeing the frame of the inside window. Okay, so I brought it in a little bit here to make it look like it's the other window inside. Okay, now we're gonna go do our flower box, and then we're going to start working with the fan brush. So the flower box, we're gonna take our black and the white. It's pretty dark. Once that side is pretty dark. So it's coming in the big angle. I'm going to make it darker so that you can see. And it starts right at the corner of the window. Yeah, it's crooked, and it is crooked. Like, it looks crooked. And now I'm following the bottom of my window. See, I need a tiny little bit of water because it's not gliding. And I might have made mine a tad too big. Okay, it goes like that. Then it turns and it goes like this. And okay, so I'm gonna redo my side panel because I lost it because I went everything the same. So I'm gonna I'm gonna highlight this here. And okay, so that's the box. There's red in there. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put some of the red in or not. Maybe we will. Actually, it kind of goes well because it's wet. So okay, so we're going to have to put a little bit more of highlight at the corner there. A tiny little bit on top here. And more red. Like I say, it's kind of hard because we're working on wet, but I want to be finished with this house. Okay. I want to show you a little something on the other windows. See, this is gray. We're going to come and put a little frame inside here. Okay. And a little white frame at the bottom. And we have this here. Okay. Now, that other window, we see the inside frame. So I'm going to go come and put a little black. I know maybe this is not very important, but it's for you to learn about looking for those details. And at the top here, there's a shadow here. It's not the same as the other window. So these are all little things that are going to help you when you build a house, when you make your house. So now I'm ready to work with my brush. So now I'm going to zoom out because now you need to see the whole thing. And we're going to start, I think we're going to start with the shadow. So sorry, because I'll be bringing you in, I'll be bringing you out. But you need to see this. So now we're going to create the shadow here. Okay, so I'm going to take my black and at the corner, I'm working only with the corner of my brush. Okay, and I'm going to see if that is dark enough. So the shadow, the sun is hitting kind of like over here on top. So that's why this is highlighted. And then the way the shadow is the sun is like this. You'll see by the shadow. So I'm going to start tapping the shadow in here. And I'm going to not just use one color. You know, so I'm not going to blend it too much because I want shadows and I want to see kind of maybe the grass and this. So I'm going to tap it and I'm going to, you know, not stay there too long. I'm just going to create the shadow. Okay, it's pretty dark. I'm going to take some of the white. Because it's wet, I can do that. And that's all it is, the shadows. It's just to create, you know, it's always on the corner because I find on the corner, I have more control. Not very often that I want control, but here I want control. So, and then this is, see, that's not dark enough because you need the dark to make the light. Okay, so, and my shadow goes in a curve. So it's coming smaller as I get to the edge. And here it goes into a curve also. And it goes into a curve. And I gotta be careful not to lose my dark. And if I did, then I just put it back on a bit. And you don't want it even. You don't want spots you want it to look like it's spotted. Okay, so some of the black, again, because I find there's too much white here. Okay, so now that's our shadow. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to start creating the grass. And I want to show you. There's a little hill here. Okay? It's coming down like that. So we're going to try to create that. If we put too much dark, that's okay. I had to come back and put some white spots. So, and there's a shadow following the base here. So we're going to come and put that on right now. Okay, so it's just tapping, and it doesn't have to be, it can be, you know, here the grass goes over the footing. Well, you can do that here too, and it goes to barely nothing. Okay, and you can see through. It's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to come back and I'm going to create a different value now. Now I want lighter. I don't want dark my shadow. And what I want to do is I want to go everywhere, kind of, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to put some white. And I can add my white as I go here to create those values, those difference. So I'm take some black, some white, and that's all it is just tapping it in and creating some shapes, and if I lose it, that's okay, because I can come back and put it on. And I'm going right to the edge of your canvas, and I'm going to come back and add some white in areas. And you don't want to be too specific in the way you do this. I'm going to add a little bit of darks. You know, like, just kind of play with it. What that does, it gives us your branches and I want to kind of try to do that it looks like there's not a ditch, but a dip there. And it's the way that our shadows and our highlights are going to be that's going to help us to do that. So it can come here and it's going to go like that, and it's going to... So I'm not putting, because I'm going to put back some white after I'm done. Sometimes it's easier to just go put some white spots in there than try to do all this in one shot. It's almost impossible. And I'm tapping, and I'm going to try to just go into kind of a curve here. Okay. That's probably the only time that I'm using the whole brush is here. And I'm going to start to not do too much here. Okay. So I'm going to come back into my white, and I'm going to create kind of little dips here. And going like that, and make it go up. See, in a curve. Those little curves are what's going to give us the impression that there's a little, the terrain has a little dip. But you don't want it all even. And it doesn't have to be completely white, because some areas are grayer than other areas, and you kind of go everywhere, and you go at the edge. Be careful not to lose your shadow. And these are leaves that we're seeing, the shadows of the leaves and the branches that we're seeing on the ground. And it's just a matter of twisting your brush, of playing with your brush. And right at the end, when we're not sure that, you know, we have enough highlight or enough of the branches showing, we're going to come back and add them. So right here, and what I did is I didn't come and put whites on that side here, because the tree has a lot of peekaboo areas. So I left it white, and it gave me those peekaboo areas. So we're going to come and start our tree, our branches here. And all I'm doing is I'm tapping, and I'm using, and I'm tapping, and just the corner makes a bunch of leaves, okay? And And that's all. And I'm tapping gently, not overly tapping. And we're going over our shadow. And it doesn't completely have to be exactly like the photo. You guys are not seeing the photo, so it's perfect that way because you're not restricting yourself by looking at the photo. And at the corner here, like it's pretty full. I'm going to load again. And I'm going to bring you down a little bit. So the shadow, there's shadow at the top here. Okay. And I'm still moving every which way. And when it starts to get dry, make sure your brush is always full. And we're going to work with different values. Different values mean different. I'm putting a little bit more white in my brush because I want it to have dimension. I don't want it to look like it's all black or all gray. So as you go into your paint, you go into the black, you load with your white. And I'm not, you know, dabbing on my plate. I'm dabbing on my canvas so that I can create this. And it's on top of each other because we want to create a full tree because there's leaves under this bunch of leaf. So it's the same thing. I'm reloading. And I'm just coming in and I'm starting to have leaves over the house. And there's a lot of little peekaboo areas where it's from the sky that we didn't do, we didn't go there. And I'm going to put it a little bit darker. So I feel like here I'm almost just too much of the same value, too much of the same gray, because you do want a dimension. But that is something that once we're done, we can look at it and say, oh, it looks all one dimension. So we can come and play with it. You know, it's black and white. It's not like when you work with your greens. So it's easy this way. And now we're going over we're hiding the areas of the roof. And it's all a matter of coming down. There's barely any white showing here because when you hide some of the edge here, it's just giving you the illusion of a big tree. And I'm coming down, I'm working on my roof. I might have more leaves than the original tree. Well, that's okay. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go much lighter here so I can create kind of the background at the same time. Okay, I'm going to come down to hide the edge of the house. And I'm always working on the corner. This is very hard on your brushes though, guys, just so that you know. You can use an old flat brush corner for this. Okay, so I'm coming down. And I'm going to add some of that light brushing over top here. Giving it, you know, even more dimension. Having a bit less of a peekaboo areas. I have lots of peekaboo areas, which, look at that. Just adding just a lighter gray, what that does. And we don't paint the same, so your gray areas won't be like my gray areas. So it's something that you're gonna have to figure out when you're painting what you need. And it's just a matter of working on the corner of the brush and adding highlights and shadows. And that's exactly what we're doing here. I'm gonna go on the edge of my brush because I don't want to have, you know, it's not like we're doing a pine tree and all that where there's too much here. I want to have the impression that they are leaves. And this goes like way, way to, I'm going to put it dark first so that I can, you know, have a shadow, a highlight on me. Kind of hard to speak and paint. So now I'm going to put a little bit of highlight. So that means I'm putting a little bit of lighter gray. And I can come on this side to create leaves that are coming out. And I'm going to keep coming down. As I'm coming forward, the footing is hiding a bit more. There's some here, and the trees here are hiding that. And I'm just a matter of tapping. And I'm going to get into darker. So I'm getting in front. But there's little highlight areas here in the back, the background in the back here. So I'm going to come a bit even lighter because there's also shadow then. So just going to put this a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to come into my dark. I'm going to come and put my dark here. Might have to reload my black here. Okay, and this area. Now there's leaves, there's shadows of the leaves at the bottom, so I better start working on my corner, just at the corner of the brush here. And there's shadow here too. And I also want here kind of a background area. Just it's grass here, but grass with shadows. As I'm coming to the corner, it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to make sure that I go to the edge of my canvas. And I'm getting into making this, it's very dark under the tree. Like especially behind the tree. We're going to come and do some branches after. Like a tree trunk, and we're going to do that. I'm going to come into my white here and add a little bit more highlight here. A little bit more highlight there. And here I'm just going to tap because there's shadow, but it's also, like I say, it's also your grass area. And a little bit darker. I'm going to have to reload my black. Okay, so I'm going to reload my black. Okay. So I'm going to take some more of the black, reload some of the black, and make this corner here a little bit darker. But I want to keep it with the impression that like it's like there's another bush in under the tree. That's what my impression is. And by leaving spots that are light, it's giving me the illusion of leaves. So now here I'm only tapping. So don't drag your brush, because if you drag your brush, you're gonna be losing your leaves. So I'm just coming in, and I have leaves that are growing every which way. And I'm going to come down a little bit here. And this is too light for my taste. So I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. But I don't want to lose the impression that there's leaves there. So here, there's a big highlight. The sun is hitting over here. And I'm just going to come make clusters of leaves. And some areas the sun touches, and I'm pressing very lightly here. And that's what makes it look like leaves without, making leaves one by one. Okay, so on top here, there's an area here, and I'm going to make a little bit lighter. right over here. I think I'm going to make that a tad little bit lighter. That might be a bit white. I'll see. Maybe it's going to be okay. It's just giving it, I kind of like it actually. I'm going to come here and make it. See, by doing this, we're giving it a dimension. Then we're going to go do some more leaves over there. It's by working in different areas that you can achieve this. We're not always working in the same spot. And I'm working over and doing highlights and maybe a little bit more shadow at the top here. And we're going to move. There's leaves that come. Okay, I need more paint. The leaves are coming down right up to here. And I'm moving over. There's leaves here too. It's not maybe as full. And right here, where we did our little background tree here, it comes a little bit over the roof. And when you start seeing like drag marks, you don't have enough paint. So I'm going to reload again with some black and a tiny bit of white in it. So just so that it kind of flows better. And I'm going to go in different ways. And there's a little bit of branches here going up. We're going to do a tree trunk here, there. And make it more that it, it's together and coming down. Now we're going to come, I'm going to move you, and we're going to come here, and we're going to, so see I went up, and there's not much highlight there, but in this one here, there's a little bit of highlight. So that's where, it's not just completely dark. That's when we get the dimension. And also here on our roof, there's the shadow. So I'm going to load again, but I don't want it completely black on the roof. I prefer getting it like a light gray because our roof is pretty red. So if I can just come and touch and get lighter, so take some white and work it on your palette a little bit. And do some areas. And I'm barely touching because I'm trying not to touch too much to make this like too much. And there's spots here and there. It's not the same everywhere. It's coming over here. And it's going behind the tree here. I'm darkening this up a little bit. And here it's okay if there's, a little bit of drag. I mean dryness. Okay. So now let's go do a little bit of work in these trees. Just a little bit. Just so they don't look so flat. So I'm just going to tap here and there. Just like that. And okay. And the front bush here also, because it's in front of that one. Okay, there's shadows here. So let's do a little bit of shadows here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now I want to come and start doing just crooked lines. And that's all you want to do. Curvy lines, crooked lines, lines that kind of come and turn here just so that we see that there's a little heel. And same thing here, do little shadows here. There's shadows everywhere here. And there's in these little peekaboo, in the little peekaboo areas, there's also a little bit of shadows. So now I'm going to come into my white. And I'm going to come back and add white and kind of wipe it off a little bit. I don't want it like a big spot of white. And I'm just going to come and tap very gently. And I'm coming in and I'm creating spots of light that the sun is hitting those areas. And I'm going fast. If you start to just stay in one spot, you're going to lose it. You know, you're going to be too white and too like a shape. We want it to look like natural. Oops, I picked up some red here. Oh, I'm gonna try to wipe this off. Okay, so I'm going back into my white. Try not to pick up some of your red. So I'm going to move over a little bit so that you can see the corners. I'm going to come back here where there's more light and then put my brush here and go there. And I'm going to reestablish the shape of my shadow because I kind of lost it. I can go in here too a tad. And I'm going to go here a little bit into the white. And there's highlights here. The sun is hitting there, right? Remember, the sun is from this angle. So it's going, there might be a big space behind a tree where there's no trees. Or there's in between the trees, the light is there. So we gotta, if you want it to look three-dimensional, well, you have to consider that. If you see it, it's in your photo. If you're doing painting from a photo, watch that. Where is the light coming from? We haven't been working with that very much, but now that we're doing stuff from paintings, from photos, I will be showing you that. Okay, and there's peekaboo areas under the tree. Not very much, but a little bit. That's a little bit maybe dark, but you know what? I'm going to start putting my highlight where the sun is very strong, darker. Like, I mean, more white, okay? And I'm tapping it in and I'm going in and kind of doing, okay. And there's more areas here. It's very white. This one here is going to be more highlighted than the one that I made originally. And that's what's fun, because I don't do the same thing twice. And see, I'm going to come and put some more. Can you see that from from what I'm painting? I see it now that it's actually doing exactly what I wanted to do. I'm giving the impression that there's a heel here, because when I come down, I kind of curve it. And then when I'm up here, I kind of give it a curve too. And I'm going to come here and put a little bit over here. They're not all white. Depends where the sun is hitting. Some areas will be more than others. But you don't want it all white because then you kind of lose that some areas. The sun is not strong everywhere because of the leaves. There's a lot of shadows. And I find that near right here, there's a big highlight here. The sun is really hitting hard there, like it's strong over there. There's a spot there that is, and I'm coming to nothing. And behind here it has a little bit more. And it's all these little things that makes your painting nicer and more realistic and different. Because you've looked at all these details. You've learned about how to do these details. And go to the edge of your canvas, you know, but they're not as white because the sun, there's more trees on this side hiding it. As long as you get these reflections here of the sun and showing that there's that little hill here, that's what you want. Okay, I think that is looking pretty darn good. On top here, I'm going to go put a little bit more dark because I find here it needs. So I'm going to take a little bit of the, like a lot black, a little white, just to be darker. And I'm going to come and put another dimension here. Okay. Doesn't have to be a lot. And here too. And see, leave those peekaboos areas there. And tone this down a little bit. Okay, so now what I want to do, maybe some here a little bit too, through that, so that it gives me a dimension, okay. There's those leaves here that are really, the sun is really hitting, just like the grass. And it's not everywhere. It's a little bit under because those leaves are being hit by the sun. Okay, so now I'm going to put that away. I'm going to use my 3/8 flat brush. I'm going to put some water in it, take some out, and we're going to do our tree trunks. So our tree trunks, I'm going into black and white to make kind of a gray. And I'm going to come and I'm going to show you kind of a close-up. Bring you a little bit on this side. Okay. And we're going to do, there's 3 tree trunks here. Okay, you're not seeing that. I'm going to, and actually, I think that this is too wide. That's a small canvas. I'm going to go with my 1/4 inch brush instead. So I'm going to go more gray so that you can see it, because this area is really dark and you want to see your tree. And so I'm going to come and I'm going to do a tree trunk here. I'm going to make it whiter because you're really not going to see this. It's so gray here. Then we can go highlight it. There's a tree trunk here. There's another one there. And there's little tree trunks that I'm going to put black. And I'm going to come and I'm going to put some black here so that we can differentiate the tree, the trunk. I'm going to put more black. You don't have to see the complete trunk. You want to see a bit of it. I'm going to come and make some in the back here. Okay, there's a little you'll see we're going to make some little branches here and there. That's a bit too much, but if I made it too big, it's okay. I can come back and just do this here and kind of highlight that one. Okay. And what I want to do, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to come and tap some shadows at the bottom. So just a dark gray, just like the bottom, and tap it a little bit here. Whoops. Sometimes the brushes they really absorb water a lot, and then I didn't go and wipe it. So I'm just going to come and tap so I don't see where it starts. Okay? And I can adjust that here if I find it's too white. But I wanted you to see because you wouldn't have seen it. Okay, there's even a little highlight on this one here. Just on the edge. Not very much. Those branches are kind of in the back. Now we're going to take a liner. Just a little zero liner. And we're going to come and do some little branches. So I'm just going to go into my black. And it's not a lot of branches. It's like little here and there. It makes your tree so much more pleasing to look, that there's a little branch there. It looks more realistic. And there are little branches. And, you know, up here, I'll stay here and then we'll move. Where there's little peekaboos, there can be a little branch. It doesn't have to be thick. More water in your brush. Keep it water inconsistency. Okay, so adding little peekaboos of branches. And you don't have to put a lot. Just, you know, a couple. A couple will do exactly what you want it to do. If you don't like it, tap it out. This branch is coming down, so my branches should be coming down. Branches are coming down here. So I'm gonna make some branches that are coming down. You don't see them unless you're very close. Okay, so now I'm gonna move over. And I'm going to come and do the corner branches. There's little branches here that are coming down. And they're getting like barely to nothing. I don't know if I'll be able to achieve that. Okay. So need water. Always inconsistency. And we're going to go do some tiny little branches. I'm going to make them bigger so that you can see, because you're not going to see that. And those branches, I don't have. Okay, I need water. I need paint. Okay, so I'm going to come. Okay, that's better. Make them crooked, like wiggly. It looks more natural. Okay. And here there's more that are and coming down. Now we're going to go do that the trunk at the corner. The trunk at the corner, I'm going to use again. I'm going to stick with the quarter brush, because I find the quarter brush, it's easier if I put, there's less chances of putting too much paint in it. So I'm just going to take some of my black, a little bit of white, and I'm going to do my trunk. My trunk is kind of crooked. Okay, it's crooked. That gives it a more realistic look. So it has dark in it and light. So kind of putting the light here. Okay, a little tad of black. Here we go. That's all I'm going to do. So now I'm going to take my liner brush again. I just moved over, guys, so that I hadn't realized that you didn't see the corner properly. So see, I've put some highlight at the top and just went with the black brush and just gave it strokes. Does not have to be really perfect. There's a big branch that comes from here to, like, I'm going to put more water in my brush so that I can do that. Maybe a little tad of white, not too much. It's crooked also. And it starts getting smaller as we come closer, and I want to put a little bit more white. I want it kind of a dark gray. Depends of your brush. Some brushes will take a lot of water and it'll glide longer. It depends of the quality of your brush. And as I'm coming down, it goes to the roof of the house. And I'm going to put a highlight on that. Just a tiny, tiny little bit highlight. Just so that we see it as in front of those leaves that we created. Okay. And just going to come here and... Okay. So now there's a bunch of tiny little branches coming from here. So, and they're all over. But you don't have to put as much. You put as the ones that, as many as you like. Some are broken off and some are just, oh, that's a mistake. It could be a leaf. I'm going to leave it there because it could be a leaf. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to make some crooked branches. And as they come to the tip, they're skinnier and this kind of makes us attach our leaves to something. But the leaves are not just floating. And in here, I can also make little branches. You might not see them, but if you would look close, you would see that I'm going to put a highlight on that so that you can see that there's branches here. Okay, so, and there's two trees, like there's birch trees coming from the corner of the house here. And you don't see much. So I've done a gray lighter than lighter than my background so that I can see them. The other one just goes at the corner here. You barely see it. And I'm just going to make a little bit, it has just a little bit of branches here. Not very much. It might just be like a dead tree. So you just want to create just a little bit of, I'm going to make it a little bit more white. So now you can see it properly. And you can see that it's a birch tree. And it really is crooked like that. And this one here comes from behind the house, so we don't know where it's going to end. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm going to zoom you out. I'm going to zoom you out completely so you can see it completed. Now, I'm going to look at it. Do I need to add something, or am I good? I've created a perspective. My branches look pretty good. The top, the trees here. You see the tree trunks. You see the highlights here. There's shadow on the roof. Now, what I want to do, what we did not do, is the windows. The windows have highlights of the trees. So I'm going to take a little bit of water, and with my tiny brush, I'm going to zoom you in so that you can see that. You know, the tree, there's highlights here from the trees. And at the bottom, it's a little bit whiter. This also makes your painting more realistic. And the top window, same thing, has shadows because it's glass, right? So you'll see that. The bottom also has it. Not a ton. And a little bit at the corner here. And we're going to highlight this a little bit more so that we can see our box better now that it's... I'm going to take some black also, and I'm going to come and make this a little bit more black. And it's kind of dark at the back. Yeah, here I put a little bit too much. I'm going to take some of my highlight. I just wanted a little bit of the window so that it shows. I'm going to put a tad of red on my box because it doesn't have much, and it should. Take the water out of my brush, and it has like highlights here. Like you see the box, and in this here too you see the box. I want to, in my roof, I kind of feel like I went kind of overboard in my roof in the leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water with my red, and I'm going to tone it down. I'm going to tone the whole thing down because I kind of like it actually toned down. It makes it look more like a shadow. So, toning it down. I could have done that with my little flat brush. But since I had this brush in my hand, but hey, I'm changing. So, I took the 3/8. See, I'm toning it down. Be careful that it's dry so that you don't go mess it up. And I'm going to redo that. Okay. Put some more at the bottom. And I'm going to go touch the little flower box a bit more. And the window sills, the window frames, and the roof here. Okay. Well, you know what, guys? I think this is it. Because I don't see anything else that I need to touch. I'm going to zoom out. Yeah, zoom out a tad more so that you see the whole thing. And this is our house. If you want to add a little bit of dark here, you can just use your flat brush, kind of dry, and you can come and add little cracks if you want, but just barely touching, and go right to your frame, and a little bit here and there, and you can do little black spots here and there if you want. It's just going to give it a dimension more, little crooked cracks. And on this side too, don't forget to do a bit on that side. This here also a little bit. Don't forget to follow the way that the angle is going. See, I can just come and do this a little bit. Don't forget, that side is a little bit more in the light. I can do the same thing with that, following. Don't forget to follow the roof line. This is just giving it a little bit more dimension, and follow those black spots that we did. I think the mortise, and I don't know what else it's called there. Okay. And then let's not forget the shadow here under and here. And actually there's that corner here has a little shadow. Just a tiny little bit of shadow. So then I'm going to go like that. Okay. And keep it straight. And shadow there. Coming here. And that one also, that little shadow, don't lose that little shadow. If you lost it, you can put it back now. A little shadow at the corner. And here we go. Well, guys, I am done. Video will be available for you whenever. So I hope you enjoyed this, and have a great day. Have a great weekend. And oh, I want to show you next week's painting. This is next week's painting. Okay. Gonna take that off there. This is next week's painting. So because it's just trees and a pair of snowshoes, there will not be a sketching on Monday. So it's only going to be on Friday. So I will see you on Friday at 1 o'clock. Okay, have a great weekend, guys. See you next week. Bye.